what's new under the sun, what's new in shopping centers, what are the new trends in retail, how have they and how are they impacting and how will they impact shopping center culture in the near future. Let's listen to the leaders talk about these new trends and what they're doing in their area of business.
Thank you so much. And welcome to everybody. We spent a lot of time together after lunch today, so let's take on from there. I think we had a very good discussion earlier. It's great to have a panel of this diversity. I think we have representation from shopping malls, from entertainment, from parking infrastructure, and even marketing services, etc. So it's good we get a different dimension. So I'll ask you questions which are relevant to staying with the main title of the discussion, which is the newness of the shopping center business. So we'll keep it relevant to your business as well. I'll begin with, try to throw this question to Nirzar first, and starting with the shopper, with the consumer. Who is our shopper, actually? Just trying to define who is the shopper and how is he or she evolving and bringing in new learnings for us. So because if you want to do anything new, let's start with the consumer.
So who's our shopper? I think on this panel there are various people. We operate different class of shopping centers. Within our portfolio we have different shopping centers at different levels. Purely from a shopping center industry, each of us operates and each of us is trying to gauge who our customer is. We've got the only great luxury mall here, and we've got some value centers. We've got Shrish, who runs the first SL World, the first kind of an entertainment destination in itself. So for each, the shopper is very different. Each business looks at it very differently, but what defines is that shopping is also a very essential need, whichever class of shopper you're addressing to. So that defines how you're going to shape the experience, the destination, the marketing effort towards it, or how you're approaching it in the short term or on the long term. That evaluation itself is not fixed in stone, because the shopper changes, their buying habit changes, their mindset, their exposure to technology now changes, how they're consuming the same shopping changes. So we're addressing different things at different times as we evolve. So we are looking at a set of buying class of consumers who's constantly changing. How we are able to replicate or market to them or address them will define how our centers kind of do better. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but that's how I look at it.
Partly. So Dinesh, can you add to that? We're all here.
My shopper is anyone who has the money to spend, and that to us is today critical, because I'm in the luxury business space. And what happens is people come in from all walks of life. We have, of course, your usual high net worth individuals, but more and more we find that people who are now earning their own way up want to aspire and therefore buy something that starts off once, becomes a habit, and those are the people that we are now targeting. So if you see the new entries that are happening in terms of brands into the country, you find them coming more in the bridge to luxury space than in the pure luxury space, because everybody realizes that there's this huge potential and propensity for people to spend. So initially we had, in terms of brands, at the luxury spectrum, everything from a Vuitton to Xenia to Giorgio Armani, and then you had your Zara's and Marks and Spencer's. But there was a huge gap in between. So you would either spend 10,000 or 12,000 rupees on a bag, or you went to the other scale where you were spending 1,25,000, 2 lakhs on a bag. You're finding brands that are now entering are in the 60 to 80,000 range. So you have Coach, Kate Spade, Michael Kors, these kind of brands entering the country and doing exceedingly well. So my customer is anyone who has the money to spend, and we are happy working with them.
Fantastic. Nimish, can you add to that from your point of view as to how the consumer is changing and how we are changing in your service planning?
So today what we've seen, at least with the existing consumer, you've had your traditional brick and mortar consumers which were there. Of course, you have now the new age millennium consumer who not only looks at brick and mortar but is also very conversant in buying things online. There has been discussions about that eating into the brick and mortar space, but that's not necessarily true if you really look at the statistical data in India as well as the rest of the world. But that being said, the consumer is definitely more demanding from the shopping center as well as the retailer. Wants more information at their fingertips and when they're going to a shopping center, they want to know what kind of, how much parking there's available beforehand, maybe make a reservation, maybe have the ability to use points to shop if he wants to buy it online or at the shop. So the consumer is looking to use technology in multiple ways and different ways today than he did maybe 10 years ago to ensure that he can get his shopping experience in the way he wants it.
So if you have to look at the shopping environment and how it has evolved so far, and where do you think it is actually moving forward? If you look at the shopping center journey, it started somewhere I think in 97 with Ansal's Plaza and Crossroad, and we are here today after building 600 malls. We are here today after building 600 malls, having started the journey in 97, 98 with Ansal's Plaza and Crossroad, and through this journey of 20 years or so, we have seen a lot of change taking place as far as shopping center development is concerned, consumer expectations, type of brands we have today in our shopping centers, and how consumer behavior has changed. And along with that, the consumer experience. So how do you think the consumer shopping experience is going to change, the shopping environment will change going forward? And how do you think we are positioned today to address that? And if we are or not, what are the ways we are actually looking at addressing it? Benu, if you can answer that to begin with.
Thank you, Vishal, and good evening, everybody. Consumer behavior is a very, very scientific thing which people have studied, and it's very productive. Last couple of years, if you look back and see, shopping used to be a thing wherein you would go and the shopkeeper would make an attempt and he would show you things and he would spread out a sari in front of you, he would spread out a textile in front of you and say, "Behenji, ye le lo." And you would take decision based on the information he provides. And scene two, now people want to have information even before they go to shop. They will go on the internet, they will check which kind of shoes are there, Adidas is there or Nike is there, which is there, what is there. Ask their friends, go on the social media, hey, how is that behaving? So it's become more information they want to get before. So as shopping centers, what I see consumer behavior is provide them information even when they are at home. They're sitting in their offices. We should have something wherein we should break open the walls of the malls and we should reach to their offices, we should reach to their homes, we should reach to the computers, we should know that this is the going on in their minds and this is the information I must provide. What I see shopping centers is big departmental stores which has so many shops. So it is as a developers or as a owner of a shopping center, it is my duty to provide this information to the potential customers so that they come only to this mall and they should know that when they come here, these are the conveniences this will be provided, these are the offers which are going on, and these is the ambience that I'm going to give. So consumer behavior has become more informative. They want to have more information about the product, more information about the mall, how are they going to reach, whether they're going to get parking or not, whether the tickets of this is available or not. Everything should be there, provided to them, served before they come. This is what I think. I don't know.
Bharadwaj, your views?
Actually, the consumer is ever changing. So in a sense, we also face a lot of challenges in making sure that consumer comes to our malls repeatedly. So what is happening is, I think now consumer are very discerning. They only come, if it is a normal mall, I think it's going to be tough for us to attract the consumers. So in a sense, we need to really create that experiential this thing. And as you said, I think F&B is playing a big role in this as well. So in that sense, I think we are seeing a change. In fact, we believe that mall is like a third place for you. After home, office, the mall is the next place where you have to come, and you need to be. So in a sense, if we have a same cookie cutter concept, it's going to be challenging for us to really attract the customers. So we are doing everything in order to change. Like now, pop-up store has come into picture. Then there are a lot of interesting F&B concept where we curate some of the brands in our mall in order to push them to the next level. So the other example I have is the like Art Box in Thailand, Bangkok, which has been a very, very big hit. So it is a moving mall actually. It's a pop-up mall. It comes and goes after a few days, then it goes to another city. So there are many things which is happening, which is going to be tough for us, but I think we need to keep tab on the consumer behavior and change accordingly.
And Shabnam, what do you think about the changing environment in your line of business and your services that you work to provide to the shopping center developers and other real estate?
You know, we started with luxury. As Dinas knows, we did some very exclusive malls before Emporio, like UB and a little bit of Phoenix and all. And we've seen that, like Benu said in our earlier discussion, people are always looking at something fresh, whether because you call it the new generation or you call it the bored house 5 syndrome or whatever. Every day you can't go and buy the same thing. Every day you can't go and see the same movie. So definitely with our limited capacity, unlike the Capita malls, we do not have the technology, the know-how, or the crowd, or even the tourists, which comes, it's not like a 8 lakh tourist is visiting India every quarter. It's visiting Dubai, but it's definitely not visiting New Delhi. So we have our neighborhood malls, we have our speciality malls. Essentially, if you see India or Delhi, it's a speciality market. That's the reason why everything works within a parameter. Luxury needs to be in one, the high street needs to be in one, the furniture needs to be one. And historically, if you see, that is where people are. It's not there are different people who are being produced to buy different things. It's the same people, but they would like to go with the mindset. For example, you can't have designer, Indian designer and select. They have tried it, even on the ground floor atrium. It doesn't work because people over there are going for a mindset of a high street. They might go to an Emporio to buy the same product. But that is where we need to differentiate. Again, they are not different people. They are the same people. It's only the mindset is changing at every place they enter. So for that particular, if I am taking my children, and I would call myself a pretty avid shopper, I would have a different mindset when I go to a Select, when I would go to a Seasons, or when I would go to an Emporio. And you know what? The most interesting thing which you might not notice is you will also dress differently when you're going to different malls. So that is something which I would like to share, that when you're creating entertainment, when you're creating, you have to keep in mind for what is the shopper coming to you. If the shopper is coming for a fun, lazy lunch, you provide him that sort of a flea market, which now what we've diversified into flea market to integrate loyalty programs so that our consumer does a cross-pollination of the app. He's not totally reliant on an app, and he's not totally reliant on the flea market. He's not totally reliant on the shop. Once everything gets integrated, he knows that he's getting his money's worth. Today, if I'm spending at a flea market and I'm getting a movie ticket voucher for, let's say, even 100 rupees, I'll say, okay, you know what? I will go and see that movie, or I will utilize that voucher. So where am I ultimately spending it? I am ultimately spending it in the mall. Where am I getting my loyalty points? I am getting my loyalty points from that mall. So if we are integrating the experience, we are not foreigners. Unfortunately, we can't only think e-commerce. If we are saying the new generation is only about e-commerce, that's wrong. I have seen, I think teenagers are the ones who maximum visit malls. It's holiday time right now. Please go and see. I don't see any child on the apps. I see everyone saying, give us money, we need to go eat, we need to go shop, we need to. Yes, for their deals, they will probably pick up some gadget, but I would still say it's pretty electronic centric for the apps.
Manoj, what is your sense in this environment question? Especially since you are actually, earlier when you were with Inorbit and now you're the Larsen & Toubro developing metro-related malls. So how do you think that you're adapting? What is your adaptation strategy for creating the right environment for the consumer in that context?
Good afternoon. Thanks, Vishal, for the question. See, one, I think, clear trend which possibly is coming out in today's time for customers and shoppers is that people want convenience of access. Now, this is probably something which we've talked in many forums in the past, but today that convenience means that there has to be a good drop-off point which you use through a taxi aggregator. There has to be maybe good connectivity to public transport with the metros and others which are coming up like we have in Hyderabad. Second is that the experience after that drop-off into the mall has to be convenient, it has to be weatherproof, and the people should be able to reach from out to within in a convenient and fast manner. And then that experience goes back to the very basics which we all talk of malls, which is like hygiene, cleanliness, good decor, visibility of stores, good circulation and all that stuff. So I think the environment for people first is very, very convenience driven today. And in fact, even what we were talking of technology and what we were talking of the store experience, that is why people are wanting to first check out whether something that they want is available in a particular area, destination, mall, and then they are trying to go there rather than, go there and then discover that there is something which is not to their liking or not what they want is available. So I think that's where we are in a way heading environment-wise. The other thing, of course, within the shopping domain is that as we see slowly, probably we are moving into actually two very contrasting trends. One would be having large malls which are destinations by themselves, which pull people in because of the theme and the number of stores and the options that they have. And very opposite to that are convenience centers, which are like neighborhood malls, which are like, my mall, apna mall type of concept, where you go into the neighborhood for a quick thing in and out, and where, you have convenience. So I think that's probably the environment I would talk of today.
Sunil, to you, when you are running your mall in Thane, do you see a change in consumer behavior shaping up, adapting to new brands, new changes that are taking place, or they are, they're happy to be where they are, and the change you see is a little bit slower than you can say a mall in, say, Parel, like Phoenix Market City or High Street rather. Do you see there's a difference between the consumption behavior, trends, and expectations, or do you see that there is a huge catch-up taking place and is pretty much merging?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Vishal. See, it's a very interesting question. Since in our mall, which is close to 1 million square feet, and in almost, we are completing 4 years in a month, out of 230 odd brands, we have successfully and peacefully, along with our retailers, churned out 60 brands across mainly fashion and food categories. So when we have done this, most of the brands, you'll be surprised, are due to the feedback from the customers. So the change which has happened in their mall has been accepted very lovingly by them. On the other hand, if we were not proactive or we didn't go back to our customers and did surveys periodically, we would have just gone by our book knowledge and not reacted and done such things. So this is a given thing which every good mall tries to do, but to what extent, I mean, that is a question.
So the request from the consumers came to on which side for the change that you did?
When we ask them, what are you missing in your mall? Whether it could be a service or a feedback with reference to a pointer, touch point to them, all the brands which they are not finding it in their mall and still they have to travel, or that is a trendier thing happening in the town, and they feel that relates to their mall, which is a trendy place for them to spend time with the family. So that was the link.
So when you launch these stores or the new concepts in your mall, do you see the brand energy, the store energy, and actual delivery of numbers taking place?
Definitely. I mean, there are n number of examples out of this 60 which has created a delight for the customer, for the incoming retailer, and definitely made a lot of commercial sense at the end of it for us.
That's wonderful. That's a fantastic example actually to hear, and good to hear that you evolve listening to the consumer, because all we have to do is stay as close to the consumer as possible, listen to the consumer, and keep growing the business in that manner.
Yes.
I was discussing with a panel after lunch earlier today, and we were talking about, and I had made this point when I was making my presentation earlier today, that way back about 15-20 years back, apparel contributed to about 80% of our mall space stroke business, right, depending on where you are. But it has been falling over the years, and today, depending on which mall, 60 to 70% is the share of a fashion business. And the rest of it is been taken over by the entertainment and food and beverages sector. Now, this is really going to fuel the future growth also of shopping centers, because fashion is becoming easily more accessible from other channels, and also efficiency is driving that business. Having said that, we find that entertainment, while holds great potential, it also has some limitations. So I'll throw a question to Mr. Deshpande, who has deep experience in the entertainment sector, to discuss with us about the future of entertainment in the industry, and what are the challenges associated with those opportunities, and suggestions as to how we can overcome those challenges.
Good evening. Thanks to Vishal. Actually, shopping is no more a shopping. According to me, shopping is a shopping entertainment or shop entertainment. It's a combination of both. Because in our entertainment parks also, we have a small type of shopping, not the full-fledged of shopping like what the amusement park, what the malls are having, but definitely people, when they come for 8 hours or 10 hours in the amusement park, there is a mix of everything. They don't want to stop only at one rides or something like that. The same is happening with the malls, and you must be finding that a lot of small FECs or big FECs are in every mall. Some are doing well, some are not doing well. But according to me, yes, entertainment or shopping center, FEC centers is integrated part or will be an integrated park in the future about the shopping centers or malls. The challenges, especially what we are facing currently, is like we are totally dependent on the mall footfalls. Okay, because if the mall does well, the inside FSC centers does well. So there is a lot of synergy should be pursued by the consumer. Of course, it depends on what kind of format we are offering or the FSC is offering. That is very crucial, very critical. Because it should not be a very capital driven or operational or capex or opex driven. But if you meet those type of challenges of capex and opex, entertainment is, and food of course, will be the part or will carry an equal weightage for the shopping malls, and it's going to increase, or it's going to stay with that.
So another question related to the entertainment sector's role in shopping malls. So far we've seen entertainment playing a supporting role, or contributing to about, you can say, 5 or maximum 7 or 8% of the space stroke business in a mall. But do you see there is going to be a time when the core of a mall will be entertainment? We will be building a mall centered around entertainment, and fashion will be, you can see, the periphery of the shopping center. Do you see that happening, and when do you think What's the time that you feel that we'll be hitting that?
It's definitely going to happen. The entertainment malls are going to come, okay, and I don't think so it will come beyond 2020. It will be up to 2020, and we are the first one to start in the New Andhra Pradesh, okay, and then it will be supported by food, and then it will be supported by the shopping, but it will be a one place entertainment mall.
Which is this mall that you are talking about?
It is just the discussions at Andhra Pradesh.
Okay, fantastic.
But
Then
it will
you have to
in Amravati area, definitely for
Amravati,
sure.
yeah.
We signed up already.
And by 2020?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes,
You must organize a trip for all of us.
Thank
We really look forward to seeing that.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful.
Definitely,
Very.
I would love to, take this one. Why? Because, see, my consumer is hungry. Bhuka hai. He's hungry for fashion, he's hungry for food, he's hungry for entertainment. So these three balances have to be maintained. I don't see in 2020 also we will have only entertainment, because it will not sustain. It has to be balanced by fashion. It has to be balanced by food. So, what I see as a future is entertainment is very, very capex heavy. And cinemas will do always well, because every week they have a new offering. They have a new movie. They have a new thrill to the consumer. So the same capex serves many consumers differently in different ways. But when I have got a big ride with so much of capex, sorry, because little bit entertainment background even I have, this amusement background, so that when it is hungry for more people, and my mall has a radius, due to traffic constraints, due to other constraints, it cannot bring new people every day. For 9 years, that ride will not suffice. I will have to give them a new entertainment every year, every month, every week. So in which case, the entertainment has to be capex light, more revenue generating, and it has to be balanced with fashion and food, which is what I think.
So, Anul, I think we'll find a formula to get there. It's all learning process, so we will get there, I'm sure. Nizar, where do you see this trend progressing? You are building, developing, planning to open new malls. So how do you see this fit into your scheme of things?
On the entertainment piece, or?
Yes, entertainment.
So 2020, is it? So she just added that.
You can.
So I think the capex question is relevant, but the size of market and the consumption is growing so much. I was talking to a Japanese player, and in India, when everybody talks entertainment, they talk 9, 12, 15 years. And these guys showed that you could also do this capex light or the investment cycle and recover all your money in 5 years. So that's one view. So coming back to Shrish's point of how capex light or heavy you can get into this business. Second, entertainment businesses in India have been, because of different taxation structures, have not been so good in terms of investments, have not been equal in every region in the country. With the GST coming in and the entertainment tax getting subsumed, I see that there will be larger investment capability by entertainment players happening. Especially, I think in this forum here, everybody, when you talk entertainment, is mostly restricted to the family entertainment center concept. Entertainment can take a larger scale. It can take a different view, availability of real estate, how your center is performing, how much energy you want to put into it to make it that regional center, super regional centers, depending on the size, the ability of the developer to put in the money. There are malls in Mumbai, some in the south, who actually done their own entertainment centers because they saw it as a very profitable business. The earlier allocations about 12 years back to entertainment in malls would have been, entertainment as in family entertainment centers would have been 2-3%. Those percentages are definitely going up. For one of our centers, we were actually considering doing a much larger investment with a concept which was floating earlier with Marvel and doing a very theme-based entertainment. But then, is that concept going to be fresh 5 years later? So that was one question we grappled with, and would it sustain footfalls 5 years later? Coming back to what Binu was saying earlier, how do you keep your malls fresh? You know, how does the entertainment remain relevant? Entertainment to me is not only the FEC part. You know, we spoke while we were sitting before the panel discussion about Dubai Mall and how they built that aquarium, and people do come by and they still queue up to pay for that aquarium because it's a world-class aquarium. And that happens on Chowpatty in Mumbai, where there's only one aquarium in Mumbai and people still line up to see that. And, you know, that's entertainment as well. So, can you create a larger proposition for your centers with entertainment? Answer is definitely yes. Should we be actively looking at it? We are definitely looking at it actively.
Dinaz, you wanted to add something? And then Manoj after that.
You know, in terms of entertainment, the point that I wanted to make is we need to be clear what is the purpose of our shopping center or whatever it is. If it's a mall, it's an entertainment zone, whatever it is. But if it is a shopping center, if it is a mall, then you need it balanced. Ultimately, you're as good as the brands that you're carrying that are making the money. If they're not making the money, you're not making the money. And you need to keep their perspective in view alongside the customers. Now, when the customers are coming, what is it that they're looking for? They are looking for a wholesome day to spend, because unfortunately in India so far, when you want to spend a day out, what are your options? How often are you going to go to the museum? How often are you going out to see some sightseeing places? How often are you going to Nehru Park, or how often are you going to Chowpatty? So you keep those things in mind, and then you say, hey, I want to spend an entire day with friends or family. Where do I go? You want to go to a place where you can spend your day, and how do you stretch it? So it needs to be a little bit of entertainment, but the entertainment does not need to necessarily mean, as he was also saying a little earlier, it does not need to mean investment heavy. It could even be a live performance that's happening. It's a laughter show that's happening. It could be an art camp for the kids, because then the parents are free to walk around whilst the kids are entertained. It could be a kiddies zone where they are playing and you are therefore free to do what you want. It could be good restaurants. So it's an amalgamation of everything. And when you're doing when you're planning a retail mall, you should keep all these perspectives in mind, because ultimately you do want the right consumer to come, and you do want them to spend money irrespective of where, but you want them to spend it in the mall.
Just add here that in fact last year in this same forum, as well as to an extent what everyone has touched upon on entertainment, I think maybe the time is coming where you have maybe instead of one combined family center zone, you may end up having 2 or 3 separate zones. One could be definitely for infants and others, which is more like a care place as well as a fun place for younger children or smaller children. Another one could be for which is maybe more teenager oriented. And third could be what I would say adult entertainment, but not in the wrong sense obviously. Adult entertainment means as for people who would like to do activities in a more developed area, maybe where there are more risks, maybe where the activity is higher. And the fourth and very active segment which is coming up is on the online gaming, which is where you play games in partnership with your group of online friends. I think these 3-4 may be to an extent amalgamated, but then obviously all this is within the domain of what actually your immediate catchment wants, what is the need of that attachment, and what is the center theming based on. I think if the center theming is based around fun and experience, then maybe having multiple zones of entertainment could be of great value there. But if you are theming on one side like a luxury mall and you want to get in very casual type of entertainment there, which is fun and frolic and noise making, then obviously they don't match. So that has to be very carefully seen and then maybe developed.
So Bharadwaj, I think you want to say something, but give me a minute. So I'm just going to throw some statistics here, just to share with you how the entertainment sector is working for us. In numbers, only in numbers, not in terms of concept. So the entertainment category has about 20% of space in Orion Mall. it contributes about 16% of sales revenue. So you will say it's not doing well, but they contribute to only about 13% of rent income. So for the entertainment business, it's a profitable business. You understand what I'm saying? So they get that because they are the low rent paying tenant. They are generating that kind of a revenue in a good mall. They would generate that kind of revenue because, like Mr. Deshpande says that they depend on the mall's footfalls also. So they generate their own footfall as well as depending on the mall's footfall. But when you look at the triangle of numbers, it stacks up well for the entertainment category and it occupies 20% of space. I think, and the contribution to revenue is on the growth path. So which is a good sign, and I think there is certainly a future in that. Of course, we need to find the formula, how we maintain the freshness, light and capital, etc. So, Bharadwaj, coming to you, one is the entertainment angle. The second is the capital land angle in terms of what is new that you are making, because in India what we tend to do, and we should, is look at the West, and in your case the East, and see what new is happening, because the pace of evolution and change is faster in other countries, some of the developed countries. And we look at you to share with us some of those examples, and of course, entertainment as well.
Yeah, actually, I will take one specific example. We are building a new mall near Changi Airport, which is under construction.
Keep the mic a little bit away from you.
We are building a new mall near Changi Airport in Singapore, which is under construction. So the same question came into our mind. Do we do the entertainment the traditional way, or do we do something different? So the mall has been designed as a park, and it has got some bungee jumping, some maze, like what he was saying. Like it has got entertainment for many different age group that we have done. Then the F&B actually was integrated with the park. That's how it has been done. So even though you are sitting inside the mall, you feel that you are actually part of the park. So then the other wow factor which we have brought in is the 40-meter rainwater vortex, which we have brought in. That means it's 40 meters, world largest. If the rain comes, then our vortex will be using the rainwater. If not, we are pumping the water into this thing. Of course, as she said, I think we can't just based on this one and make a mall. We have done, in the basement, we have done the fashion, F&B, as well as the fashion stores. And also it is so integrated with the airport, because it's just opposite to the airport. We are actually banking on the transit passengers who are coming, right now Singapore is attracting around 50 million of passengers. So we are banking on them. If they have got 2-3 hours, this is the best place to be. Just go inside and come out. So having said that, that is the secondary type of catchment we have. The primary catchment is the residents who stays there, as well as the office workers who are there. So it has got like 500,000 of residents. It has got around 100,000 of office workers as well. So we are taking all this thing and putting into and I think designing a mall is not easy, because we are trying to predict the future where consumer will change, tenant will change. There are a lot of things which will happen. We can only predict to a certain extent. So this is what we have done. I think 2019 it will open. So I welcome everybody.
Again, we'll come for it, yeah? Okay, so I'll just move on now. I think it's good to hear that we are talking about experiential things. And, because I think everybody else seems to be talking about only apps. So apps are, I am actually literally scratching my head, saying how much more can apps do to our lives in shopping centers and improve the throughput in that sense and improve differentiation. I don't know. So that's a question I'll leave for some other time. But coming to all these plans that we make, they'll only fructify if there is serious collaboration, serious and meaningful collaboration with retailers and vice versa. So retailers also have new concepts, but if they don't get the support from the shopping center guys, they will not be able to sort of put them on the ground. So where do you think both of them are in the collaboration life cycle? And what do you think needs to be done? I mean, I'm sure the answer is going to be weak. So I'll preempt that and say what needs to be done to actually really push it forward, build more trust between the two, and enhance collaboration for a much, much better, more effective output. What is your, Manoj?
I'd just say, if we see during the history of the ISCF and the IRF, which was happening, when it started, there used to be a typical half-day session or whatever on developer versus retailer. But today, if we see both in IRF as well as in ISCF, kind of the business model has evolved, and the basic commercials and all those things are fairly transparent with each other, and people are comfortable. Now the collaboration as it stands today is that today maybe the developer has their own scheme of things as far as marketing goes or how to promote the center goes, while individual brands within the center also have their own plans. I think one of the major collaborations which are required both in terms of the power to spend and the power to spend together would be to have joint marketing plans where either categories or the entire center itself or certain promotions which are then centered around that particular center along with all the brands being together part of it. I think that would be one possible part. The second part is, which has been debated long time, is about how much should the developer invest into the retail fit-outs and other things. Maybe there are certain opportunities which lie there if we want to adopt the theme of freshness, where certain amount of investments come as a given at the development stage so that the retailer leases and other things could be a little lower in terms of tenure. And then we have churns or we have redevelopments of stores which are then giving it a fresher look. And you also are able to encash on certain brands which are entering into the market, as time goes by. And then you combine a little bit of the initial outlay vis-a-vis freshness of brands as well as provide comfort all around would be my take on it.
You have something to add, Benny?
Not very relevant, but whenever you enter a shop, I just want to ask a question. Whenever you enter any shop, what is that first thing that enters your mind is what is something new? Is there something new? Kuch naya hai dikhane ko? Do we not ask that question? So similarly, my consumer, when he comes to the mall over and over again, he must be also thinking what is something new? What is the new offerings that I have to make? So the retailer and the developer have to form certain relationship wherein his span in my mall is, because the interest span of the consumer has reduced. It gets cloyed, it gets fed up of one thing very fast, which is what I noticed change in the consumer behavior. The interest span of they get fed up of a brand or a thing or in Delhi particularly, there are in restaurants which would come, they will become a fad and they will die within three years. Then you will not know about them. Something new has to be offered. So at least 20% of your mall should have such relationship with the retailer wherein we agree that you will be there only for 2-3 years and then I can offer something fresh to the mall. And that should be without hurting any sentiments of the retailer because it works for everybody's benefit.
Sunil, you want to say something on this?
Your question basically was on collaboration between retailers and malls.
Correct.
And I see a sea change which has happened in past 8 to 10 years, we all being into mall industry have seen. Today collaboration has gone ahead in many ways in positivity. Just leave apart the CAM and all that, that's one part of the thing which has reached a level of transparency. Apart from that, on the platform of marketing, I mean, you have seen examples when we had the retailer session or tomorrow you're going to see, wherein the partnering between a mall and a retailer specifically for a quarter or during mall launch or during events is going on very nicely. So that was a big gap which was there 5-7 years back. I mean, when we do our EOSS campaign, so retailers have trusted us, we share that with them in advance. They are actually reducing their spend for that region because they believe in our campaign. So that's the level of trust we have been able to create with a batch of retailers. I'm sure every mall is doing something wherein you are contributing in reducing their actual expenditure and increasing their sales, and the trust parameters are growing.
So when we were discussing in the afternoon, I think one point was raised about lease transactions. Nizar and Menu, both of you mentioned about that. So you want to throw light, both of you, on the leasing part of it as to how we can collaborate and change understanding with retailers as far as leasing terms are concerned.
60 retailers.
Yep.
After the session is over.
After the session is over. That's a good thing. I mean, on that point, Vishal, I mean, that change I feel you will see mainly in the new malls which are starting off this year or 1 year back. Whatever started 5 years back, the time was different, and we are still left with a lot of arrangements which are 9 years, 15 years or 21 years. But good part today is even with anchors and big box retailers, everybody is talking about efficiency. Gone are the days when a hypermarket was asking you 1,50,000. Of course, only guys who can do that much is my friend Lulu. So they are doing it excellently. But otherwise, everybody is building in their efficiencies. And that is where the partnerships are changing, increasing efficiency for a developer also and a retailer. So if you go back to a retailer and tell him, look boss, this is my average TD of the mall and you and I both have been trying and you're not growing or coming to the average TD of the mall, he's ready to change, provided you show respect and do it amicably.
So let's move on a bit to the luxury side. As if you can share with us, what is, see, when we remember DLF Emporio opened about, I think, 8-9 years ago, the first part of those 8-9 years and the second part of the last 8-9 years since you opened, the first half and the second half, what is the difference you've seen in those two phases? And what do you think is the next phase from here?
Well, I'll give you a live example because currently we're working on our second mall. I'm not sure you're aware of it, the Chanakya. And when we came up with Emporio, at that point, India was not used to organize luxury retail. They didn't know the concept of it. It was only shopping arcades and five-star hotels where you went in and you picked up what you wanted. So from there to organized retail where we moved in, it was a sea change. The initial apprehensions of how is it going to be, people are going to shop outside the country, they're not going to come here, it'll be old season stocks which are being dumped, these kind of perceptions people had without even coming into the mall. And once they saw that everything was on track, we were showcasing the latest seasons, everything was fine, India was being treated as an important market, the rates were on par with this part of the world. I won't say they're on par with Europe, but definitely when you compare the rates with Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, you find that the rates are almost at par, if not cheaper. So from there to now where we are planning the Chanakya. The Chanakya is a beautiful boutique kind of a mall concept because it's almost 2/3 the size of Emporio. It's smaller. Yet it has a lot more to offer than what Emporio did. Because Emporio had the benefit of having the promenade right next to it. So the promenade had lots of restaurants, it had the cinemas, it had everything. Now Chanakya is coming up in a natural destination surrounded by high net worth individuals and embassies and hotels. But what happens to the project itself? Because it's too small to sustain if it's pure luxury and just retail. So we have 20,000 square feet of space on the lower ground, which is dedicated to food and food retail. We want people to come in at least 2-3 times in a week. We want this to be their neighborhood mall, as you're talking about, but no, it's not a neighborhood mall. It's like your own private club, where you are an exclusive member, you come in, you do your shopping here, you do your dining here, you do your entertainment. So we have 3 cinemas on the top floor. Despite being smaller than the Emporio, it'll have 3 auditoriums, total seating capacity of 1,000, 20,000 square feet of retail space on the lower ground, which is food and food retail, and then 3 floors of shopping. So we'll have luxury brands like Hermes, etc., being part of it on the ground and first. And the second floor will be bridge to luxury or I would say prestige brands like you would find on the ground floor of Promenade. So you'd have brands like Thomas Pink, Ted Baker, you'd have a cosmetic zone, you'd have a blow-dry salon. So we've tried to make it eclectic, and you can see the difference between Emporio to here. Plus, it'll have a lot more of technology. We know that as we spoke about who's our customer earlier, someone spoke about millennials, we spoke about all that. So it's going to be a lot more interactive, it's going to be more experiential. We're using a lot of technology, not necessarily just throwing information at you, but even interactive. You walk past the elevator bank, there's an LED panel which sort of follows you. There's a pattern that just chases you as you're walking past. So we are doing a lot more on that score to make it experiential and changeable.
Shabnam, you want to add anything to that luxury part of the business? What is changing, how it is evolving, and where do you think it is headed, the luxury business?
I think the luxury business is pretty much here to stay. It's really not going anywhere. I hope Dinaz agrees with me. She's doing Chanakya Puri. We are doing the other largest luxury mall, which is Delhi One, which is the Four Seasons luxury retail. We are signing up, almost done with some of the most iconic brands of the world. So we have 2 very large flagship stores, which we will disclose in due course. So if these guys are wanting to come here, then I think they also have confidence in the market. Maybe the demonetization kind of, I won't say deterred them, it just kind of delayed it a little bit. But eventually you have to work with the system and the system has to work with you. So even in Emporio, the changing 2 lakh rupees, paying by check, eventually it's going to happen because that's the law. You can't really fight the law. And anyone who has to buy will figure out. People are still having their weddings. People are still spending. Yes, at those 4 months, it was a little bit of a setback. But again, as of, I think, last month when you were allowed to take out the cash or the money or the bank limits were not so high, people are coming out of the closet, they're spending, the destination weddings are back on track. I mean, so I don't really see people not spending, at least in their weddings they are. Maybe they're being a little conservative because holiday season is coming and they're waiting for, the new stock to come or to come back from their holidays. So now the luxury mindset of individual has also changed. They want the best of both worlds. They want to shop over there, but they also want to see the sales over here.
Good. So, Nimish, I'll just turn to you. A small related question and something also associated. So, luxury shopping environment as it is defined as great luxury stores, great environment, tile and marble, etc., all the works. But when you go to a normal premium mall, there are no luxury stores there. There's premiumness, but not luxury. But let's step back and say, what if I provide one part of the experience as a, you can say, near luxury experience, and if that has to be parking. If that has to be parking, say that I pamper my customer, but when the customer comes into the mall, the customer shops in a Levi's and these kind of stores. So do you think there is room for that opportunity? You think that sort of a service, that kind of offering will be appreciated by the consumer and pay a little more and pay for feeling good in the mall?
All customers, I think, are willing to or would love to demand the feeling of being treated in a better way than everyone else. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a DLF Emporio or Delhi One, or you're talking about a premium mall. Either way, there are people who want to feel more special. Now, there are different ways to do this. As a technology provider, we provide different ways for you to give this. So you can either do it in terms of loyalty. A loyalty program or a loyalty platform should be able to ensure that someone, let's say at the ultra luxury level, they might not be necessarily looking at a 200 rupee discount. I was talking to also Ashish Hemrajani, the owner of Book My Show, and he says we run these promos where we give discounts, but we found that certain class of customers, they don't even opt for those when they receive those SMSs. So what they want is something which is automatically given to them as a luxury or as a loyalty points, which they can redeem very easily without having a discussion about it. So it could be given as a parking in a super premium spot, which is right at where the ultra premium shops are, to something like a car wash with which you can provide for him, or a valet service along with when he comes. But we've also found that in the premium stores, you would rather give something like a cash discount or give a valet service free of cost. Something as simple as that will provide the environment for the customer to feel special. They can get that instant gratification, and that's how you can actually build loyalty into that program.
So you're the only retailer in the entire panel. Everybody else is a shopping center developer, or they are in the service providing business. So you're the only retailer. So I'm going to ask you one very direct question that's related to collaborating with shopping centers. So, there's a lot of expectations that retailers have from shopping centers, right? They need footfalls, they need everything to happen, and everything should be perfect, and only then they can do business, right? So like everybody was saying here that, when retailers, who drives footfalls actually? Why do you sign an anchor? You sign an anchor and you sign an anchor at a lower rate, rental rate, because you expect that anchor to generate footfalls consistently. It's not just on a particular holiday or things like that, but on a consistent basis, generate footfall year after year. So what happens when the retailer is unable to generate the footfalls? Okay. So how is in your opinion, what is your suggestion? And I want to hear that and let the audience hear that. How do you think, and just give you one example of the anchor failing to draw footfalls. There could be many other examples of things that may not work well. What are your suggestions from a retailer side that you can do to improve the overall performance, not just the retailer's performance, but the performance of the shopping center, or to collaborate and test out new ideas?
Difficult question, and difficult to answer, of course, because putting myself into your shoes is always very difficult thing. Yeah, because suppose my entertainment shop is not doing well, and what retailer would like to do, or what will be the things, because of retail is not doing well. Okay, is that your question, right?
Retail is not doing well, mall is maybe doing well, but not as much as the retailer is not doing as well as a mall. Let us say.
I think there can be collaborative efforts can be done together. Okay, we can track the trends what are going on. Okay, including for me about the format has to be studied. Okay, what is exactly the customers or guest expectations, and what is it we are not able to deliver. The same can be done by the mall. What is the exact reason if A mall is doing well and why B mall is not doing well? That can be infrastructure, that can be a parking, that can be a combination, or the exact things which is the mix of the mall, which is not right. Okay, so all these things he'll have to study the modern trends, and he has to go with the trends, and then we also have to go with the trends. But living with the trends is the most important thing. That's what I feel.
Fantastic. Nir sir, can you add to that from your experience?
So, while we were chatting up earlier, Shri said an opinion that he asked the panel, when we were having discussion, that do events actually work for malls? So, I see the last row is kind of completely gone off to sleep, so I'll ask the question to the last row there. So, do you think events work for malls? Okay, so you were all sleeping. So, do events work for malls? Yes, they work. His question was, how do we collaborate and make the events work so that it works for the retailers? And do we need to do celebrity kind of events? Do we need to do, every mall I think has a summer, now end of season sale. Does collaboration work with retailers? It's hard fought out. I think each mall tries very hard. I think malls are now taking sponsorship from retailers to do events, particular events. I remember when we did the first end of season sale, I think the first ever, when we kind of wanted 50 brands at flat 50% off. The team had to really work for like 1 week, every day. Everybody was on calls, getting confirmations from retailers before we could advertise that the particular mall was at flat 50% off, and ensuring that all the merchandise in each of those brands was at flat 50% off. So that was one successful collaboration. If you see now, the EOSS is a very successful collaboration between a mall and a retailer, where the retailer and the mall both are benefiting. Most malls have cracked it, and most malls now have EOSS time together with the retailer, where they have promotions running. The bit that is not cracked is, when a celebrity comes, does it work for the mall? Does it work for the retailer? There are complaints that it doesn't work out on the shopping. There are enough people, but it doesn't work out. Some bit about collaboration with retailers is, if you're looking at an early stage where you want to develop a proposition, are people willing to contribute? Yes, there's a willingness on part of retailers as well as malls, when a retailer comes up with a proposition, to work together. So yes, definitely a yes for collaboration, working together, and events.
Thank you. So the last point I would like to touch upon is technology. So I think a short answer, I think we've been spending many sessions on this, but a short answer from everybody on how technology is actually impacting the industry now, and how do we want to adapt to it? To what extent adaptation or embracing is a need, and to what extent technology will actually take us far ahead in our business? So let's start from that side first. Just one quick one answer from each of you.
As a mall, we need to clearly understand and not try becoming a retailer, and revolve the technology in aiding and making it relevant to our customer.
Shabnam?
I agree, but having said that, we need to collaborate with the retailer on every front, whether it's events, technology, apps, on a daily basis, and we're not even talking on a weekly, if we want the mall to do well. If the retailer does well, the mall does well.
So I just want to repeat the question is of the impact of technology and to what extent we can.
That is what I'm saying. On a daily basis, we need to know how much and what they are lacking or what they are making.
Okay.
That is the reason why a technology has a cross-pollination with the mall and the brand. So both can help each other.
So on the technology bit, 4 years back we had an idea of doing this omni-channel. A lot of malls are talking about it, some are doing it. I think Inorbit kind of started this app with Pretter for, I think, Malad, that just kind of got launched this month. So the idea was that even at that time, retailers did not have a visibility into their own inventory. So why I'm bringing this up is because technology, most people are now thinking e-commerce cannibalizing malls. How do we work together? How do we get that part of the sale? So at that time, when we had early discussion with departmental stores, large people, large businesses, even they would not have clear visibility into their own store merchandise. So how could you make the same ecosystem better? So I think a lot of time has passed, technology has evolved, mindset have evolved, and when you see the Inorbit example of doing this omni-channel thing through the app, where they're giving a unified experience, I think Pretter is the partner, where they're giving a unified experience of picking up the merchandise, the person knows what's the inventory when they're coming to the mall. You can book a ticket to the movie, you can book a table in the restaurant, whatever level of evolution that it kind of evolves. So I think that ecosystem of technology to map consumer needs and coming together definitely works. And probably that's the way it'll happen much faster in the next 24 months than what it happened in the last 60 months.
I think technology definitely is going to affect us. I think, to be honest, we are worried. But having said that, I think we do believe that our focus is real estate, so making malls. So in a sense, instead of getting too much worried, we just want to use the technology as an enabler in order to make our business much more improved. So just to give you one example, in a sense, we as a company, we do a GTO of some numbers per year. Unfortunately, when during Alibaba in China, they have done the same GTO in 1 hour. We take 1 year to generate that much money, but Alibaba did it in 1 hour of sale. So that is the magnitude of e-commerce or technology which has been coming into against us. So in a sense, I think we should do whatever we can in order to use the technology to make sure that. Then the other thing is what is happening is the data. So the data which is going to be in our building, which is the customer data, tenants data, all this is going to be having a value to it sooner or later. So we do believe that the data will become one of the balance sheet item in time to come. So data is important. So we have our data which we should harness in order to make sure that we use it to how to improve our business. So their technology has to come in again to help us. So we are evaluating many different systems in order to go how do we use this technology. So that's where we are right now.
I'm very thankful that technology is evolving, and I see that technology is something I would like to embrace, because this will connect me with my consumer. Instant connect with my consumer. Sitting in my office, I can connect with who visited my mall, what did she buy, what did she did not buy, what was she interested in, so that I can be connected with her all the time through that technology, provide her instant information, because this is information. It is the era of information. Everybody wants information. Instantly, she or he should know that there is parking available or not in my mall, or what are the deals in my mall. Everything should be instantly supplied to that person when he is sitting in the office or he is at home. Technology is going to do that. And that is how I'm not very worried about Alibaba sales, because Alibaba cannot match the experience which I'm going to give to my consumer. And technology is one thing which will take me to that consumer, help me stay connected with them, guide them. I want to be that one genie. See, earlier we used to say we have 2 arms, but now I say we have 3. The third one is my mobile. So on my mobile, I can know everything. I can provide that data to that person who is visiting my mall, and technology is going to make it happen.
Technology is like a 2-armed sword, because what happens is it can be intrusive in your privacy as well, so you need to be careful how you're using it. It's highly irritating when you're walking past a store and suddenly something pops up saying, hey, we've not seen you in here, or there's a discount available. It depends on your mood. So you should get data when you want it. It should not be force-fed to you. That's my perspective. The second is, it needs to be sensitive to the culture that you're in. I know one of these retailers, one of these big brands that brought in the technology which could measure you, for your suit, so you'd have the perfect measurement without having a physical interaction with the tailor. But that required you to step out of your clothes and step into a bodysuit. And guess what? We Indians weren't prepared for that. We didn't accept it. So though it was tom-tommed about quite a bit, you go into those stores today and you ask for that technology, and it's very quietly withdrawn. It's not available because it's alien to our culture. We are not comfortable stepping into a retail store, stepping out of our clothes and step into a bodysuit in the nude. It doesn't happen. So we need to be careful on that front. It's there to help us, and it's here to stay.
Yeah. As everyone was saying, I'd just like to add a few comments from my side on technology. I think first, technology, in my view, needs to be something which supports the entire shopping and retail experience for a customer. Having said that, one aspect would be personalization, much like in the hospitality business, where we tend to pick up certain preferences, maybe certain personal data like birthday, anniversary, etc., and make it automated and special for the person who's actually coming to a center. That would be one. Second would be to provide relevant information which the customer prefers, which is again through some kind of modification of the personalization bit. Third would be possibly on the driving efficiencies, particularly on energy, particularly on operations, particularly on things which are maybe not so environment friendly today in certain centers. So to drive efficiencies, use technology. And having said that, then the last bit on technology would be to drive maybe a little better inventory management more in the retail domain, because a lot of us would face problems that when you pick up a certain design or style and you find that the particular size is not available, or it is not available in that mall at that time, or at times, it is not even available in the city, and then you're left in a way saying that, okay, I like this, but I can't buy it. And though a lot of brands have worked on this, but I think technology could be used to drive much better inventory so as to make the sale when the need is there in the particular shopper's mind, or when he needs to buy it, he or she needs to buy it. That would be my take on the technology bit.
Thank you. So technology is actually quite a broad topic. I mean, there's hardware technology, there's software technology. You're talking about, you spoke a little bit about apps, and just some statistics. I think an average user doesn't use more than 8 to 10 apps on a regular basis. So even though he might have more apps on his phone, it's not utilized as much. So, and everyone's driving towards that, which I see, which may or may not be as efficient as what people might think. But technology should be used to make shopping easy for the customer, and for the retailer and the shopping center to understand what the customer requires to address his needs better and more efficiently, to reduce overall operational inefficiencies in the system. Just simply put.
I'll just stick to amusement park business per se. It's totally have a technology, have a tremendous impact on our facility management, right from entry to exit, and as a core business also. In fact, I would put technology is equal to amusement, or amusement is equal to technology. As the technology changes, the experience of the guest changes, the ride changes. It's like a virtual reality, then augmented reality, and so forth and so on. So we are largely dependent on the technology. So it's got a maximum impact on our business at least.
Great. Thank you very much to all the panelists for a wonderful discussion.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our
Wonderful
panel out here for sharing with us their great ideas, their great experiences.